Listen closely. This is no accident. What you're about to hear is not just words, but a voice reaching straight for the deepest part of you. You have come here not by accident. From the first breath of this moment, you are being drawn closer, invited to set down the familiar burdens you have learned to carry as if they define you. I ask you now to lay aside every expectation, every checklist, every tidy explanation you clutch when the world feels unsafe, and simply stand with me at this threshold. There's nothing to prove. There's no performance required. This is not a lesson in rules or a list of behaviors to memorize. It is an encounter, a movement from information into relationship. As you step into this, notice that what waits is not more work for you, but an opening for your heart. Hear me as one who knows you intimately, the pattern of your breathing, the places your heart tightens when you think no one sees, the questions that come up in the middle of your busiest days. I have called you to presence, not because of what you can offer, but because of who you already are. You are invited into relationship, into a space where transformation begins not with instruction, but with the warming of your spirit, the softening of your defenses, the permission to rest in a love that does not tally merits. As you receive this, notice how you might be tempted to measure this moment with old standards. Perhaps you start to tally what you think might make you acceptable, a better memory of lessons you have learned, a more consistent prayer rhythm, a tidier household, a calmer inner life. Those things matter in ordinary ways, but here they are not the currency of belonging. What matters now is the simple act of turning your face toward what is near, allowing yourself to be seen and known. It is the small, trembling movement of honesty that begins to loosen the hold of fear. You might feel skeptical, and that is welcome too. Doubt is not a disqualifier, it is a doorway. Bring your questions, your confusion, the catalog of things that have worn you thin. Hold them up like hands extended, not to barter for acceptance, but to receive grace. In this space, the posture of your heart matters more than the cleverness of your answers. Let your doubts be honest companions rather than hidden accusations. When you name them, their power to isolate you begins to loosen. Let your body respond to this invitation. Breathe in, slowly, and feel the release that follows. Allow your shoulders to soften, the relentless hum of your planning to quiet for just a few heartbeats. You are being given permission to inhabit your life without the constant pressure to fix every crack before anyone cares to look. There is a spaciousness here, an expansive mercy that meets you where you are. You do not have to perform to earn this welcome. Simply be. As the words find their way to you, sense the intentionality behind them. This is not vague sentimentality. It is a deliberate reaching toward you, a setting aside of all distractions to focus on the one who is listening. You are not generic. The truths that come to you in this moment were chosen with your name in mind. Imagine that each phrase is the hand, gentle and steady, pulling you out of any self-imposed exile and placing you where you can breathe again, where you can begin to see clearly. There may be parts of you that resist, self-critical voices that whisper you are not worthy, anxious rehearsals that catalog previous mistakes. When those voices surface, do not hide them. Speak them aloud if you need to. Let them fall like leaves into a river where they can be carried away. The invitation extended to you now reaches into those shadowed places, not to shame, but to heal. Do not let shame be the gatekeeper of your encounter. Shame believes it has bargaining power. Love simply opens its arms. Notice, too, the gentle authority in this presence. It is not harsh or demanding, but it is sure. You are being guided, not coerced. There is a steadiness that invites trust because it is rooted in knowledge of who you are and what you need. For all the ways you have felt untethered, there's a hand that will not let go. Feel that steadiness as an honest promise, one that does not depend on your ability to perform, but on a commitment to remain near. As you lean into this, consider the small acts that will help you return to this posture throughout your days. You do not need grand gestures. You need small, repeated openings, moments when you breathe, when you name your need, when you choose presence over numbing, when you turn from frantic doing to simple being. These become the rhythm of a life learning to trust that it is held and that it is enough. Over time, the tiny habit of turning back toward presence will rewrite your instincts. Finally, accept this first gift, permission to be present to yourself without pretense. Let the next few minutes be a sacred pocket of time where you allow whatever is true, joy, confusion, grief, hope, to be seen. You are invited into a conversation that values the authenticity of your inner life. There is no rush. There is no agenda concealed beneath kind words, only the steady commitment to walk with you as you move from survival into a more spacious way of living. So come forward without your lists and without your defenses. Rest here in this invitation. Allow the truth of being drawn near to settle into the crevices where you have longed for belonging. You are held wholly and exactly in the way you most need. Receive that as the beginning of everything that will follow. Return to this place often. Let it be the soil where small shoots of hope begin to root and grow. You are not asked to have everything figured out or to be perfectly formed, only to come, to breathe, to receive. You are seen in the places you thought no one could bear witness. The secret tears, the clenched fists under the covers, the heaviness you carry when you smile for others, but ache when you are alone. None of this escapes notice. I have watched you wrestle with doubts you never dared to speak aloud. You have felt the sting of disappointment and the loneliness of wondering if anyone would understand. And yet, here you are, being told gently but firmly that you are not invisible. Your pain is not dismissed. Your fears are not too small or too messy for my embrace. I draw close now, not as a critic tallying failures, but as one who bends low to lift what has been too heavy for you. I recognize how tired you are. The kind of tired that no sleep or vacation fully fixes. The kind that seeps into your spirit and makes hope feel out of reach. That deep weariness is not overlooked. I meet you in it, not waiting for you to clean it up or package it neatly. Even your exhaustion is an invitation to rest in a love that does not demand polish. You may believe that your struggles make you unworthy of closeness, that somehow your doubts, your repeated missteps, your quiet shame disqualify you from being cherished. But I tell you, those very things are what call forth my compassion most strongly. My nearness is not repelled by your weakness. It is drawn by it. I do not turn away when you falter. I move closer. Where others have withdrawn when they've seen your mess, I remain. There is tenderness in this recognition. Imagine a hand brushing away the tear you tried to hide, not because it is weak to cry, but because your tears are precious. They speak of your longing, your vulnerability, your heart's refusal to grow completely numb. Every tear tells the truth that you are alive, still reaching for more, still aching for what is good, and I honor that. Not a single drop is wasted or unnoticed. You may ask, what about the times I failed again and again? What about the promises I broke, the prayers I stopped praying, the days I simply gave up? Hear me clearly. None of these have made me leave you. Shame tells you I keep score, that I eventually tire of forgiving, but my love is not fragile like human affection. It does not waver when you stumble or diminish when you struggle. It is steady, relentless, and deeply personal. Think of the ways you've hidden your battles. You've carried burdens in silence, pushing through so others wouldn't see the weight you bear. You've smiled when you were breaking inside, convinced that to be known would be to be rejected. But you don't need to hide here. There is no rejection waiting for you, only recognition. I see beneath the surface. I know the places that ache. I know the fears you've never named aloud. And instead of recoiling, I draw near to heal, to lift, to stay. Let yourself picture this. Every corner of your story, even the chapters you've tried to erase, is still within my gaze. Nothing has been hidden from me. Not the missteps, not the regrets, not the confusion. And still, nothing has ever convinced me to abandon you. That constancy is your anchor. You may feel unworthy, but your worth is not determined by your feelings. It is sealed by my commitment to never let you go. So when shame whispers, when fear tightens its grip, remember, you are seen in your rawest honesty and still cherished. My kindness does not condemn, it heals. My voice does not berate, it restores. I do not demand that you rise before you are ready. I sit beside you in the valley, patient, unhurried, until hope begins to flicker again. Even your questions, the ones you fear make you disloyal, are safe here. Ask them. Lay them out without editing. I am not impatient with your searching. Doubt is not betrayal. It is often the soil where deeper trust begins to grow. When you are confused, when you do not understand why certain roads closed or why certain prayers seemed unanswered, do not carry those questions alone. Bring them here. Let honesty replace pretense. In your rawness, you are most reachable. I see how you have longed to be strong for others, how you have carried weight so they would not have to. And while your courage is noble, I never asked you to bear it all by yourself. Your humanity was designed for connection, for help, for companionship. To admit your limits is not weakness, but truth. I do not despise your limits. I delight in meeting them with strength that is not your own. This recognition of your pain is not passive. It is active care. I am not a distant observer cataloging your suffering. I am the one who steps into it, steadying you when you feel unsteady, reminding you that your fragility is not failure. It is simply part of being human, and it is the very place where my compassion finds its deepest expression. Let this truth settle. There is nothing in your story that has made you too much or not enough for me. No secret regret is too dark, no quiet doubt too troubling, no repeated failure too discouraging. I see them all, and still I stay. My voice does not say, try harder, be better, earn more. My voice says, rest, be honest, let yourself be loved. You are not alone in your battles. You never have been, even when you felt abandoned. My nearness is not revoked by your fragility, it endures. It holds steady when everything else feels uncertain. When you falter, when you collapse under the weight of trying to be enough, I am there. I always have been. So, bring the heaviness now. Let the recognition that you are fully seen, not only in your strengths but in your weariness, your hidden griefs, your unspoken fears, become the beginning of healing. This is not the kind of comfort that glosses over your reality with platitudes. This is the kind of comfort that steps into your reality, unafraid, ready to carry what you cannot. Stay here in this truth. I see you. I know you. I do not withdraw. Every part of your story, every fragile piece of your heart is safe in my care. And because of this, you can breathe again. You can unclench your fists. You can let your guard down. For in this recognition, you are not only seen, you are cherished. Release. That word is gentle, yet it feels impossible when your mind races to hold every detail, every potential problem, every fear of what might go wrong. You grip control like a survival rope, believing that if you loosen even slightly, everything might fall apart. And yet, holding so tightly has not given you peace. It has only exhausted you. That is why I invite you, even if only for a moment, to unclench your hands, to let go of trying to predict every outcome, to release the grip of your anxious thoughts. You are not asked to abandon responsibility or to deny your cares. You are asked to remember you are not meant to carry them alone. There is a river of grace wider than your regrets, gentler than your fears, flowing all around you. You have waded against its current for too long, believing you must fight the waters by your own strength. Now, step back and let the current hold you. Feel the weight of striving ease as you are carried instead of forcing yourself to swim endlessly. Notice how your body tenses when you try to control. Shoulders tight, chest heavy, breath shallow. That is not the way of peace. Peace comes when you allow yourself to breathe deeply again, when you give yourself permission to not have all the answers. The air you draw in is grace. The exhale that follows is surrender. With each breath, you are already practicing the rhythm of release. Inhale grace, exhale fear. I know the objections rising within you. If I don't figure everything out, who will? If I stop planning, Won't everything collapse? Hear me. Release is not abandonment. It is not recklessness. It is the acknowledgement that your strength has limits and that those limits are not the end of the story. To surrender is to trust that you are not alone, that there is a hand steady enough to guide what you cannot control. Think about the countless moments when anxiety has stolen your joy, when your mind raced ahead into the unknown, inventing scenarios that never came to pass. All that worry did not prepare you better. It only depleted you. What if instead you allowed uncertainty to become a place where you lean more deeply into presence? What if not knowing became less a threat and more an invitation to trust? There is spaciousness here, if you are willing to enter it. Imagine a meadow after storm clouds have lifted, wide and green, stretching far beyond what you can see. That meadow is your soul when you release control. The fences you've built from fear and striving begin to fall away. The anxious grip loosens, and suddenly there is room. Room for hope to sprout again. Room for peace to settle. Room for joy you thought was gone forever to rise quietly within you. The truth is, control has always been an illusion. You have lived as though your constant effort could guarantee outcomes, protect against pain, secure your future. But even with all your effort, you know life rarely bends to your will. To release is not to give up. It is to place your trust in something steadier than your own anxious planning. It is to discover the peace of being carried instead of constantly carrying. And in that release, healing begins. Your spirit, long stretched thin, begins to mend. The caverns of your thinking, dark with worry and regret, begin to fill with light. You are reminded that you matter immeasurably, not because of how perfectly you manage your life, but because you are cherished beyond measure. You cannot outstrive love. You cannot outfail mercy. The limits you fear are not barriers but doorways into a love greater than you imagine. You may have believed that your failures disqualified you from closeness, that your repeated struggles built walls too high for anyone to climb. But listen. Those walls crumble when you stop gripping them so tightly. Your brokenness is not patched over with flimsy fixes. It is made new, remade from the inside out. This newness does not begin with effort. It begins with the ache that drove you to seek something more. That ache is sacred ground. So, let yourself set down the armor you've carried. You've braced yourself against disappointment for so long, trying to shield your heart from rejection. But love is not found in bracing. It is found in opening. Release the idea that only flawless devotion or perfect performance earns attention. The trembling cry of your heart is enough. The quiet act of turning, of simply saying, "I cannot do this alone," is what moves compassion most deeply. Even in your weakness, you are not disqualified. Weakness is the very doorway where strength enters. You have carried burdens too heavy for too long, kept battles hidden beneath the surface so no one would know the depth of your pain. But each time you pause, each time you let your guard down in prayer, in helplessness, in the smallest sigh, you are already stepping into release. That is enough. Do not believe the lie that you must hold everything together. You are not alone in the valleys. When you doubt, when you falter, presence does not retreat. Nearness is not revoked by fragility. Your weakness is not the end of the story, it is the opening act of grace. And as you remain here, release begins to rearrange what is possible. You find that kindness replaces shame. Healing overtakes fear. Where walls of disappointment once stood, bricks begin to fall away. Where you believed only ruins remained, a new foundation emerges. This is not because you controlled it, but because you dared to release it. So breathe again. Let go, not into nothingness, but into arms that hold steady. The story is not finished, and you are not abandoned to figure it all out alone. Spaciousness surrounds you. Peace is nearer than you think. Release does not end your story. It begins it anew. You have been taught to believe that healing is only about fixing what is broken, patching holes, smoothing over cracks. But what I long to give you is not repair alone. It is renewal. Not a return to how things were before the pain, but the birth of something new, something deeper, something richer than you imagined possible. Where you see barren places, I call forth beauty. Where you see only rubble, I am laying new foundations. Think of the parts of your life that feel beyond redemption, the relationships that fractured, the dreams that slipped through your fingers, the mistakes that echo in your memory. You might see these as wasted. I see them as soil. Soil can look like dirt, lifeless and dark. But it is the very place where seeds are planted, hidden and watered, until life begins to push upward. In the same way, the disappointments and failures you carry are the ground from which new growth will rise. You have braced your heart against more disappointment. You've built protective walls, convinced that it's safer to expect little than to hope and risk being let down again. But hope is not your enemy. Hope is the breath of your soul, the spark that keeps you alive. And while I know you have been hurt, I invite you to slowly, brick by brick, lower those defenses. You do not have to dismantle them all at once. Just allow light to slip through the cracks. When you try to earn love, through perfection, through striving, through proving yourself, you end up weary, depleted, unsure if you'll ever be enough. But healing does not come through performance. Healing comes when you stop trying to manufacture worth and instead allow yourself to be loved exactly as you are. I am moved not by flawless devotion, but by the trembling, honest cry of your heart. That cry is the doorway through which renewal enters. Even when you feel weak, confused, or ashamed, your need is not repulsive, it is magnetic. Your honesty, your small acts of turning toward me in prayer or even in wordless sighs, draw compassion close. Think of those moments when you let down your guard, when you whispered a plea in the middle of the night, or when you simply sat too tired to form words. Those moments were not failures. They were openings, sacred invitations for renewal to begin. You are not alone in this process. Healing is not a solo project. I walk with you through every valley, every hidden corner of your story. My nearness does not falter when you stumble. My strength does not withdraw when you break. On the contrary, the very places you feel disqualified are the places where renewal takes its strongest root. Weakness is not disqualification. It is the soil where new life grows. My kindness does not shame you. It leads you into restoration. That is why I remind you, you have not outgrown my miracles. No matter your age, your struggles, your regrets, you are never too far from transformation. Let this truth take root in you. What feels permanently shattered can be mended. What feels lost can be restored. And what feels dead can be made new. You may resist this, thinking, I've failed too many times. I've waited too long. I've already ruined my chances. But hear me, those are not final words. They are lies born from exhaustion and fear. Renewal does not depend on your flawless record. It depends only on your willingness to open your hands, to surrender what you cannot control, to allow love to meet you in the place you most want to hide. When shame tells you to close your heart, I invite you to open it. When fear tells you that you are too broken, I remind you that brokenness is the doorway to grace. When regret tells you the story is over, I whisper that the story is still unfolding. Each piece of your past is being woven into a larger design, one of beauty and meaning you cannot yet see. This is not just comfort, it is transformation. Renewal rearranges how you see yourself, how you walk in the world, how you love and are loved. You are not the same as you were yesterday, and you will not be the same tomorrow. Each act of surrender, each breath of grace inhaled is shaping you. Slowly, quietly, tenderly, you are being remade. Do not despise the slow pace of this work. Healing rarely happens in an instant. It grows like a seed in hidden soil, like a dawn breaking gradually over the horizon. Trust that something is happening even when you cannot yet see it. The silence is not absence. The slowness is not indifference. It is the steady rhythm of restoration at work beneath the surface. Let yourself imagine the barren places in your life blooming again. Picture laughter returning where sorrow had silenced you. Picture connection forming where loneliness had numbed you. Picture courage rising where fear once reigned. This is not wishful thinking. It is the promise of renewal already underway. You are being invited into a story, not of patched-up survival, but of vibrant newness. The ache that brought you here is not wasted. It is the seedbed of transformation. Let go of the idea that healing means going back. Instead, allow yourself to move forward into something you have not yet tasted. Deeper peace, unshakable assurance, the freedom of being loved without condition. You are not asked to strive for this. You are asked to receive it. Renewal is not earned. It is given. Let yourself breathe it in, slowly, steadily. Let your heart open, even if just a crack. For in that opening, light enters. And where light enters, life begins again. You want certainty. You want a clear map, every turn marked, every destination circled in advance. But the path I lead you on is not predictable. It is guided not by formulas or blueprints, but by relationship. Trusting guidance is not about memorizing steps or mastering principles. It is about listening, leaning closer, and walking with a hand you cannot see but can learn to recognize. You may wonder, why not give me the answers outright? Why not remove the confusion? Because if you had every answer in advance, you would not need companionship. You would walk alone, following directions, but missing relationship. My desire is not simply that you arrive at the right place, but that you learn to walk with me along the way. Guidance, as I give it, is rarely loud. It is not usually a booming command from the sky. More often, it is a whisper, a quiet nudge, a subtle shift in your heart. It comes in the ordinary, an unexpected conversation, a moment of peace that interrupts your fear, a word that resonates more deeply than you expected. This is why stillness matters, because hurried noise makes it easy to miss the gentle voice that is always speaking. Your hesitations do not frustrate me. I am not impatient with the time it takes for you to trust. I know how uncertainty rattles your confidence. I know how silence makes you question whether you are truly heard. Yet, in every hesitation, in every pause, I am present. My answer is not a formula, but a relationship. I do not hand you a script to memorize. I invite you to lean closer, to listen, to respond in trust. Think of how you have carried decisions before, agonizing over which way to turn, fearful of choosing wrong, paralyzed by the weight of getting it right. But what if guidance is less about making flawless choices and more about staying close enough to adjust when you wander? What if being held is more important than being perfect? Even in the moments you think you've missed it, when you fear you've taken the wrong turn, I do not abandon you. I redirect. I lead you through detours and back roads, weaving even your missteps into the path. You cannot derail my love with your uncertainty. You cannot ruin my plans with your confusion. My guidance is steady enough to hold you, even when your steps falter. Do not measure trust by how certain you feel. Trust is not certainty. Trust is moving forward even when you are unsure, because you believe the hand that guides you is reliable. Trust grows not by eliminating doubt, but by walking through it with companionship. Every step you take in faith, whether bold or trembling, is precious. Consider how you learn a friend's voice over time. At first, you may not distinguish it in a crowd, but the more time you spend together, the more easily you recognize the tone, the cadence, the inflections that mark it as familiar. So it is with my guidance. The more you pause to listen, the more you learn the gentle rhythm of my leading. Sometimes you will feel lost, but you are never abandoned. Sometimes the way forward will blur, but you are still being led. My guidance is not about speed or efficiency. It is about intimacy. I do not rush you, nor do I demand you never falter. I cherish each step, even the stumbling ones, as long as you keep turning toward me. In surrendering control, you begin to notice the subtle signs of presence, a peace that interrupts your panic, a verse, a phrase, or a word that seems to arrive at the exact moment you needed it, a strength you cannot explain carrying you through a day you thought you could not survive. These are not coincidences. They are the fingerprints of guidance woven into your life. Your story is not disconnected fragments. Every moment, even the confusing, painful, or silent ones, is being woven together with purpose. I do not waste what you thought was lost. I treasure what others might dismiss. Nothing is too tangled for me to redeem. Even the choices you regret, even the seasons you feel you squandered, are being drawn into a future filled with meaning. So let your faith be less about certainty and more about curiosity. Ask yourself, what might happen if you truly believed I am for you? How might your steps change if you trusted that tomorrow holds more kindness, more light, more possibility than yesterday? You do not need every answer in advance. You need only to hold the hand that has never let go of you. Remember, guidance is not about a path free from questions. It is about walking with someone who knows the road better than you do. My nearness is constant, my leading gentle, my presence faithful. You are never required to navigate alone, not for a single heartbeat. So lean closer. Let go of the pressure to have it all figured out. Listen for the quiet voice that whispers even in your doubts. Let guidance become less about knowing and more about trusting. For the one who leads you is steady, kind, and unwavering, and every step you take, no matter how uncertain, is held in love. Waiting feels like wasting. The silence of unanswered prayers presses against your chest, and you begin to wonder if your voice has been lost in the noise of the world. You count the days, the months, sometimes even years, and still the door has not opened. The dream has not taken shape. The answer has not arrived. In those long stretches, you are tempted to believe nothing is happening, but waiting is not wasted. It is fertile ground where unseen growth takes root. Seeds do not sprout the moment they are planted. They rest beneath the soil, hidden, silent, unseen. Yet, in that hidden place, transformation is already underway. Roots push downward, preparing to sustain the life that will one day break through the surface. In the same way, seasons of waiting are not lifeless pauses. They are places of preparation, where your roots are stretching deep, where your faith is being steadied, where your soul is being shaped for what lies ahead. Do not despise small beginnings. Do not overlook the quiet growth happening beneath the surface of your days. Waiting is not the absence of progress. It is the slow and steady rhythm of becoming. Each moment you endure, each sigh you release, each prayer you whisper in exhaustion is part of the cultivation. You may not see the fruit yet, but it is coming. Consider how often you've measured your life by visible results. You ask, what has changed? Where is the evidence? But not all growth is visible. Some of the most important work is hidden. Patience stretches you. Silence teaches you. Delay humbles you. And in all of it, something new is being forged within you. Resilience, trust, compassion, endurance. These are not wasted traits. They are the very qualities that prepare you to carry the future that is being shaped. You may feel behind, watching others move forward while you seem stuck, but you are not being left behind. You are being formed at a different pace, an unhurried rhythm that is not measured by comparison. Beauty takes time. Roots grow deep before fruit appears, and the deeper the roots, the stronger the life that emerges. The discouragement you feel in waiting is real, and I do not minimize it. There are days when discouragement presses in so strongly it convinces you progress is impossible, but that voice is not truth. The truth is that waiting is not punishment. It is preparation. The detours you resent are often the very places where you learn what cannot be rushed. Consider the story of rain falling on dry ground. At first, the soil seems to drink it up with no change, but slowly, invisibly, the water seeps deeper, softening, nourishing, awakening seeds that have been dormant for far too long. So it is with the words spoken into your life. They are not empty, they are seeds. Some may remain hidden for a season, but none are wasted. In time, they will burst forth and bloom. Your weariness in waiting is not a sign of failure. It is simply part of the journey. Even in weariness you are being carried. Even in silence you are being heard. The very restlessness you feel, the ache that nothing has yet changed, is not proof of abandonment. It is evidence that you are meant for more than surviving this season. That longing itself is a signal pointing you forward. Waiting asks you to trust what you cannot see, to believe that silence is not absence, to hold on to hope when evidence is scarce. And though this feels impossible, remember, even the smallest flicker of hope is enough. Faith does not need to be grand to be real. Even mustard seed faith is fertile ground for miracles. Sometimes, waiting is protection. The doors that remain closed are not refusals but shields, keeping you from what would harm you, preparing you for what is better. What feels like delay may in fact be mercy. The timing you resent may be the very timing that saves you. My wisdom weaves through every unanswered prayer, preparing blessings you cannot yet imagine. Hold your desires loosely, not clenched in fists that demand immediate fulfillment, but open in palms willing to receive in the right time. Dreams are not denied. They are reshaped, ripened, readied. Some are released into bloom sooner. Others require seasons of dormancy, but none are forgotten. Every longing you carry is known. Every hope you nurture is treasured. Patience is not passive. It is not idle waiting, but an active trust, a posture that leans in even when clarity does not come. It is a quiet strength that refuses to give up, even when everything feels stalled. This patience is a gift, an invitation to deepen your roots, to widen your capacity for joy, to strengthen your spirit for what is ahead. Do not rush the process. Do not measure your worth by speed. Life is not a race to outpace others. It is a journey of being formed at the pace of grace. You are learning to walk at the unhurried rhythm of love, slow enough to notice beauty, steady enough to endure storms, patient enough to embrace the mystery of becoming. So, when discouragement tells you nothing is happening, return to the truth. Waiting is not wasted. Growth is happening in the hidden places. You are being prepared for more than you can yet see. Your story is not stalled. It is unfolding. Slowly, tenderly, with intention. Trust the silence. Trust the soil. Trust the seeds you cannot yet see. For in time, what is hidden will emerge. What has been dormant will bloom. And what you thought was delay will be revealed as preparation for a life richer, deeper, stronger than you imagined. You live in a world that teaches you to measure your worth by what you achieve, how much you produce, or how others see you. It tells you that success defines value, that perfection earns acceptance, that comparison is the only way to know if you are enough. But I tell you, none of that is true. Your worth is not fragile. It does not rise or fall with performance. Your identity is not earned, it is given. You belong because you are mine. You wonder if repeated failures or hidden struggles have disqualified you. You fear you have crossed unseen lines, lost your chance at closeness, or worn out your welcome. Yet listen carefully. You are still called by name. I see beauty in the very places you call barren. I delight in who you are, not in what you produce. Nothing you have done has revoked my affection. Nothing you fear can undo my embrace. The world sees only appearances, but I see beyond them. I know the quiet battles you fight, the comparisons that gnaw at your confidence, the way you measure yourself against impossible standards. But I do not ask you to be flawless. I ask you to be open, to stop striving to earn what has already been given, to allow your heart to rest in the truth that you are already loved. You may have believed that identity is something you must prove, something fragile that others can grant or take away. But your identity is secure, anchored in love that was spoken over you before you saw your first sunrise. You are not defined by your best accomplishments, nor condemned by your worst failures. You are defined by the unshakable truth. You are beloved, chosen, cherished. When you compare your journey to others, you forget the uniqueness of your story. You look at their milestones, their victories, their polished surfaces, and you measure yourself lacking. But I see a different picture. I see the resilience forged in your struggles, the compassion grown through your pain, the courage it takes for you to keep moving forward. These cannot be compared. They are your treasures, your marks of becoming. Inadequacy often whispers that you must be more disciplined, more spiritual, more successful, before you can belong. But the places you feel inadequate are the very spaces I long to fill. You are not rejected in your weakness. You are met with strength. You are not scolded for your struggles. You are offered grace. Stop measuring yourself by standards I never gave you. Stop trying to prove what has already been established. You matter deeply, exactly as you are. Think of how often you have hidden your true self, fearing judgment or rejection. You put on masks of competence, of calm, of confidence, while inside you are restless and uncertain. But before me, no mask is needed. I see through them all, and what I see is not too much, not too little. It is beloved. You can exhale here. You can be your unguarded self, your questioning self, your weary self. You can be seen fully and still be safe. Every longing you have, every fragile dream you hesitate to voice, is held with tenderness. I am not surprised by your questions. I am not intimidated by your doubts. Your uncertainties do not threaten me. On the contrary, they are invitations for deeper intimacy. I desire not a polished version of you, but the real one, the one who aches, the one who hopes, the one who wonders if there is more. That is the one I delight in. Your identity is not fragile, though the world tells you it is. It is secure, written into your very being. You were made with intention, crafted with care, set apart with purpose. Every day you wake is evidence that your life matters beyond measure, not because of what you achieve, but because of who you are. Beloved, you do not need to exhaust yourself chasing approval. You already have it. You do not need to strive endlessly for love. You are already loved. You do not need to compare your journey with another's. Your story is uniquely yours, and I celebrate every step, even the faltering ones. So when the voice of inadequacy rises, when comparison whispers that you are not enough, remember this truth. Your worth is not up for debate. It is settled. It is unshakable. It is rooted not in what you do, but in who you are. You are my child. You are my delight. You belong. Let this truth sink deep, breaking through the lies that have bound you. You no longer need to perform for acceptance. You no longer need to fear rejection. You no longer need to wonder if you are enough. You are. Not because you have proven it, but because you are already held in love that does not waver. Walk in this assurance. Let it free you from comparison. Let it release you from impossible standards. Let it remind you every day, you are seen, you are known, you are cherished, and nothing, no failure, no doubt, no fear, can take that away. You may believe that greatness is found in grand gestures, invisible achievements, and recognition that shouts your value to the world. But the truth is simpler and far more freeing. Greatness is found in compassion, in mercy, in everyday faithfulness that no one else may ever notice. When you choose kindness over indifference, when you forgive instead of holding a grudge, when you love without demanding return, you are already participating in something eternal. The world aches for tenderness. It is desperate for gentleness, for patience, for kindness that is not transactional. And you, yes, even in your ordinary days, become a vessel of this tenderness when you allow compassion to flow through you. A listening ear, an encouraging word, a quiet act of service. None of these are wasted. They may seem small, but each one carries a weight beyond what you can measure. Do not underestimate the sacredness of the ordinary, the way you comfort a hurting friend, the patience you show a child, the kindness you extend to yourself on weary days. These are the places where love is most real. They do not need a spotlight. They do not need applause. They are remembered in eternity. Every act of mercy, no matter how small, echoes beyond your sight. Forgiveness, too, is part of this holy work. It is not easy. It does not erase pain or dismiss injustice, but forgiveness loosens the chains that bind you to bitterness. When you forgive, you release the power of hurt to define you. You free both yourself and the other from the prison of expectation and resentment. Even in relationships that remain unresolved, forgiveness allows grace to flow where control cannot. There will be times when forgiveness feels impossible, when wounds cut too deeply, when trust cannot be rebuilt. In those moments, you are not asked to erase the pain. You are asked to place it into hands that can hold it without breaking. Forgiveness is not pretending everything is fine. It is the decision to release the burden of revenge, to allow healing to begin in you, even if reconciliation never comes. This, too, is compassion. Your service in the world will not always look dramatic. It will often look like faithfulness, showing up for those who depend on you, tending to the small responsibilities of each day, offering love in places no one else sees. But in the eyes of eternity, these small acts are weighty. They matter. They shape not only your own soul, but the lives around you. Consider how even your flaws, your scars, your imperfect efforts can become channels of compassion. The empathy you carry for others often comes from your own pain. The patience you extend is born from your own struggles. The gentleness you offer flows from your own wounds. Nothing in your story is wasted. Even the hardest parts are transformed into gifts when you allow them to soften you toward others. Extend the same gentleness to yourself. The harsh criticism you often use against your own heart is not the voice of love. True love does not belittle or condemn. It builds, restores, and encourages. Treat yourself with the kindness you so freely give to others. In doing so, you align your heart with truth. You are worthy of compassion, too. Every day holds opportunities for this kind of faithfulness. They may not look like miracles, but they are. The patience to endure, the courage to love again, the willingness to hope. These are miracles of endurance and grace. They shape the world in ways you may never see. Remember that the measure of your life is not in achievements tallied, but in love given. No act of kindness is too small. No gesture of mercy is ever wasted. No offering of service goes unnoticed. These are the threads of eternity woven through your ordinary days. So, when you are tempted to dismiss your efforts as insignificant, remember, the smallest seed can grow into a tree. The quietest word of encouragement can shift the course of a life. The simplest act of compassion can ripple outward in ways you cannot imagine. You are participating in something far greater than yourself each time you choose love over indifference. Let your life be shaped by this rhythm, not striving for recognition, not chasing perfection, but showing up in faithfulness. Let mercy guide you. Let forgiveness free you. Let compassion flow through you. And as you do, know this: every act of love, no matter how hidden, is treasured. It is sacred. It is eternal. You have carried questions. You have carried longing. And still you stand, searching for a word that is not vague or distant, but unmistakably for you. Hear this now. Your story is not finished. Hope is not gone. Tomorrow holds more light than yesterday. What began in love will end in love, and in every step between, you are never abandoned. I invite you to lift your gaze, not toward perfection, but toward possibility. Let hope rise again in you, not naive, not shallow, but steady, rooted in the truth that your life matters beyond measure. You were made with intention, and you are still being shaped with intention. Each breath you take is proof that purpose is unfolding. Do not be afraid of the unknown. The path ahead will not always be clear, but it will never be walked alone. I go before you. I walk beside you. I remain behind you. I surround you on every side. Your steps, even the trembling ones, are within my care, and every time you falter, you will be lifted. Let go of the fear that you must have everything figured out. Trust does not require perfect clarity. Trust is choosing to move forward, one step at a time, believing that the one who leads you is faithful. You do not need to see the whole road. You need only to take the next step. And as you do, You will find provision waiting, strength renewed, hope rekindled. This is not an empty promise. It is a covenant, unbreakable and steady. Nothing you do can make me withdraw. No mistake can cause me to abandon you. No failure can revoke your belonging. You are mine. You are beloved. And that truth is the anchor that will steady you in every season. So walk forward, not with the weight of proving yourself, but with the freedom of being loved. Let your days become offerings, not of performance but of presence. Small acts of trust, ordinary gestures of kindness, simple prayers whispered in the quiet. These are the ways you live in companionship with me. You are not asked to be perfect. You are asked to be real, to bring your honest heart, your unfinished questions, your unpolished prayers. In that honesty, you will find transformation. In that surrender, you will discover freedom. In that closeness, you will know joy deeper than circumstance, peace stronger than fear, hope that outlasts disappointment. Remember this always. You are my masterpiece, continually shaped by love. The scars you carry are not signs of failure but reminders of survival, places where compassion has been etched into your being. The wounds you thought would define you are being redeemed, turned into stories of grace. You are not broken beyond repair. You are being remade. There will be storms still, there will be valleys, but even in the hardest seasons you are not forsaken. My presence will steady you, my peace will surround you, my love will sustain you. When the night feels endless, morning will still come. When hope seems faint, it will still rise. When strength runs out, mine will carry you. This is the promise. You are never alone. You are never forgotten. You are never beyond reach. I began a good work in you, and I will carry it to completion. Nothing can separate you from my love. Not fear, not failure, not doubt, not time, not even death itself. My love is the final word over your life. So rise now. Rise with assurance that you are held, chosen, cherished. Walk forward with courage, not because you have all the answers, but because you walk with the answer. Let every breath remind you that you belong, that you are loved, that you are never alone.